Hey everybody, what's going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So, we're coming back to Punk finally, Kashtira Punk in particular, as I do believe that this is probably the strongest Punk variant in the current meta. Now, before we were also playing Kashtira Punk, but really, it was just a small package of like Fenrirs, Unicorns, and like a Birth that pretty much replaced the Bestials and allowed us to go into Baronne very easily by doing, 7 plus 3. But I will say that now we are definitely more of a, like, Kashtira Punk deck. Like, it's always interesting when you're combining two different archetypes into a deck, right? Because it usually ends up being that one archetype is more prevalent than the other. Like, before I would say we were a Punk deck playing a Kashtira engine. Now I think we truly are a 50-50 Kashtira and Punk deck, because the lines that you end up doing are very much going to depend on how you open. This deck is actually capable of doing a full Kashtira combo line. We're just playing fewer of the cards that you use to do the combo lines, right? We're playing one of each Arise-Heart and Theosis here. Only one of each because, again, we're splitting the deck between the two archetypes, but I find this to be fine. I don't think the two engines are really in conflict with one another because, again, the two archetypes already work well together, right? Again, in the past, we would just summon a Kashtira monster, one of the 7s, throw down a level 3 Punk tuner, and then get to summon the Baronne before then doing our Punk plays. And now, again, it just pretty much depends on how you open. If you have the ability to do a Punk line, you do that. If you open a Unicorn and not much else, then you can just go ahead and do that instead. You could, in theory, I don't think I've had a game that's played out quite like this yet, but you could, in theory, like, start by specialing Unicorn, right? And then you could, like, normal summon as Amin and activate that. And then if that gets negated, you could even, instead of going for a Baronne there, you could just activate the Unicorn for Theosis and then just go into a Kashtira line instead. So I think that's pretty cool. I like when decks can kind of play that way. That's why I like Sprite variants a lot, because Sprite variants can do that very, very easily. They can do their specialized archetype plays, or you can just activate starter if you get disrupted. But here, again, it's kind of more 50-50. So we are trimming down a little bit, only very slightly, on the Punk cards to make room for some of the extra cash stuff. We're only playing 2 of each Foxy Tune and Ogre Dance. I would also love to play a second Sharakusai in the main deck, alongside a second Rising Carp in the extra deck. If I had room for the second Sharakusai in the main deck, I would definitely do that. The extra deck we absolutely have space for. In fact, I was thinking about this earlier too. Not just the second Rising Carp, we also even have room for the second Jam Dragon Drive, and that would make our combo lines fully Unicorn proof, because you could play 2 Rising Carp, 2 Jam Dragon Drive, 2 Amazing Dragon, which we're already playing, 2 Ira, and then 2 Arise-Heart. And then your remaining 5 could be like Baron, Zeus, Pep, Goddess, and then your pick between like Asa, Chengying, and Big Eye, right? I'm actually kind of thinking I might change the extra deck to that. And then, like I said, if we find room for a second Sharakusai in the main, then we can fully execute multiple combo lines. I'm already playing 2 Amazing Dragon in the extra deck, and I really like this because it's pretty easy to be able to summon this on turn 1, use the revive effects to bring back a level 8 Punk monster, and then still be able to go into the second Amazing Dragon on the follow-up turn. And it basically gives you an extra 3k body on the board for free, which is never a bad thing. And like I said before, having extra copies of your extract monsters makes your combo lines Unicorn proof, which is definitely not too bad in this meta. Not that the meta is like particularly dominated by Kashtira. I think Purrely is definitely proving that it's still the better deck, and haha, I told you all so. Don't worry, I'm gonna do a tier list video soon, I think, and then I'll really do the aha, I told you so about Kashtira dance, but we'll save it for that. Anyway, but yeah, being Unicorn proof is definitely not a bad thing in this meta, and it's not hard to build this extra deck in a way where it is, and I think I might end up doing that just for S's and G's at some point in the future. Oh, another thing, I've always played Dangerous Gabu as my Punk trap card of choice in the past, but I decided to finally test out the Nashiwari Surprise, and I think in this meta in particular, where destroying one of your opponent's cards, be it the, like, My Friend Purrely, or the Purrely that's activating its effect, or the Purrely that's activating its effect, could be the Kashtira monster that you're targeting with Theosis, or that your opponent is, rather. Could be the Labyrinth back row card that just got set. The Nashi Warrior Surprise is actually super, super good, I think, in this particular meta. So, I am actually now a fan of it over Gabu. I do think in the past it was probably right to play Gabu instead, but in this meta, I've really been liking the Nashi Warrior Surprise. Alright, I think that covers pretty much everything I wanted to talk about as far as the actual list itself goes. So, let's go ahead and break it down card by card, and then we'll see some gameplay. We are on 3 Maxx, 1 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, 3 Ash Blossom and a Joyous Spring, 1 Ukiyoe Sharakusai, 1 Gagaku Wa Gon, 1 Joruri Madam Spider, 3 Noh-P.U.N.K Amin, 1 Kashtira Arise-Heart, 2 Noh-P.U.N.K Deer Note, 2 Kashtira Fenrir, 3 Kashtira Unicorn, 1 Scareclaw Kashtira, 2 Noh-P.U.N.K Foxy Tune, 2 Noh-P.U.N.K Ogre Dance, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Kashtiratheosis, 1 P.U.N.K Jam Extreme Session, 1 Pressured Planet Wraitsoth, 1 Kashtira Birth, 2 Emergency Teleport, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 3 Infinite Impermanence, and then 1 Joruri P.U.N.K Nashi Warrior Surprise. And that'll do it for the main deck. For the extra deck, we're on 1 Ukiyoe P.U.N.K Rising Carp, 1 P.U.N.K Jam Dragon Drive, 1 Baronne de Fleur, 1 Swordsoul Supreme Sovereign Chengying, 2 Ukiyoe P.U.N.K Amazing Dragon, 1 Psychic and a Punisher, 1 number 11 Big Eye, 2 Kashtira Shangri-Ira, 2 Kashtira Arise-Heart, 1 Divine Arsenal, Zeus Sky Thunder, 1 Asa the Earth Charmer Immovable, and then 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. That'll do it for our list. Let's go ahead and see some gameplay now. Alright, our first duel is going to be against Kashtira Tearlaments. Seems to be a pretty even blend of the two archetypes. I've actually got my own ideas for Tearlaments that I'm going to be trying out here shortly after I record this video, so might be seeing that video here soon. Look at this opening hand here. Very, very nice. Going to start the Fenrir for the Unicorn. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I actually maybe should have thought about grabbing the Scareclaw Kashtira for a potential extra extender, but the thing is, yeah, we're not going to be able to sync with the Fenrir here. We have to use the Amin to make the Rising Carp in this situation. So, didn't really see a line where I was going to get a Kashtira monster in the yard anyway. Also, definitely want to do our P.U.N.K plays before we even think about committing to, like, summoning Arise-Heart off its own effect, right? Because if Arise-Heart summons off its own effect, we can only exceed summon for the rest of the turn. So, our opponent's not disrupting our P.U.N.K stuff. We'll just go ahead and commit with that. Using the Deer Note to bring back the Sharakusai. Oh, you know what? I remember someone a little while ago asked me for a P.U.N.K combo guide. Definitely let me know in the comments if you are interested in that. Definitely let me know, because if I see enough comments asking for a P.U.N.K combo guide, I can definitely do that. I've never made one, and I kind of can't believe I've never made one, but I can definitely go ahead and show that off if need be. We were able to summon the Baronne in the end because we had an extra tuner for the Extreme Jam session, but like, this is like the epitome of a good P.U.N.K end board. And this is why I love P.U.N.K end boards so much. You gain so much advantage, right? We have a total of 11 cards, 5 on the board, actually 6 on the board counting the field spell, and then the 5 in hand. This also provides, of course, the Omni in the form of the Baronne, and multiple bounces as we threaten to go into the Amazing Dragon. And of course, we get the Nashi Warrior Surprise here as well, as the call-by. They're gonna Theosis here. I could have just used the Nashi Warrior Surprise, but I just instinctively threw out Ash Blossom against Theosis here, but the Nashi Warrior Surprise would definitely have been the way to go, because it would have not only essentially negated the Theosis because its target would have been gone, but we also would have taken out the Unicorn as well. But even though we had that very minor slip up here, it's not really going to matter, because again, we just have so much disruption here that, yeah, the Era, like, this is fine. As they go to their end phase, that's all they had too. As they go to their end phase, I can use the Sharakusai to go into the Amazing Dragon. That'll bounce the Era, which will completely dodge its protection abilities. We even get to draw an extra card, and I think my opponent just concedes here. I'd kind of be surprised if they didn't, honestly. Yeah. as they're passing back to me with a completely empty board. I don't think I even ended up using the Baronne negate at all there. So that was like textbook punk line right there. So good stuff. Let's go ahead and see the next duel. Alright, this next game is going to be against Gishki Sprite. And if I recall correctly, this is one where we do more of a Kashtira opening line as opposed to punk plays because of how we open. Yep, so as you can see, the only punk card we opened at all here was just Deer Note, which obviously by itself does not do anything. So we're going to have to do a Kashtira line. But note that we also opened both Fenrir. We can definitely still do Kashtira plays, but we're going to have to be a little bit weird about it because we opened the both of these. So I'm going to start by specialing the Unicorn, activating Unicorn to grab not Theosis but Birth here, because again, I already have both Fenrir in hand, so I figure actually I can just activate the Birth and use that to normal summon one of the Fenrir. Then I'm going to use Fenrir to add the Arise-Heart. Gonna overlay the Unicorn and Fenrir, going for the Shangri-Ira. I am playing into Nib by doing this, but, you know, I don't really know that I have too much other option that still feels really good. Like, I could go for the 3-material Arise-Heart, but I was like, you know what, we'll just go for it. Go for the full combo line here. And yeah, I mean, because I opened both Unicorn and Fenrir here, I don't even need the field spell in this particular hand. But I will go ahead and activate it anyway for not only the search for the Scareclaw, but also then I get to potentially pop a card on the opponent's field during their turn. They're going to Ash Blossom the Ira, which is totally fine because I don't even get to grab the Fenrir here. I was literally just going to grab, what, like another Unicorn, I think? So that Ash Blossom does absolutely nothing here. Actually, it doesn't do nothing. It does proc me to banish their only Gigantic from their extra deck. They only had one, so I'm definitely going to go ahead and hit that, which will also allow me to zone lock with the Ira. Alright, hitting another one of their main monster zones here. They're summoning the Beautiful Princess, using that to grab out the Abyss. I thought about, I should have probably used the Arise-Heart effect here, but what I was thinking was like, I can wait to use the Arise-Heart effect because it'll also come with the Wraitsoth pop too. So it'll be a face down, banish, and a destroy. And I wanted to wait until I could use both at the same time. Also, attaching their spell card here was a huge mistake. I should have left this banished. But if this ends up in the graveyard, they can potentially set a Gishki spell trap card from their deck. So don't want that. Alright, they're getting the Nibiru here. I'm going to use the Arise-Heart to attach the Vision. Vision and Shadow do still work under Arise-Heart because they do discard, not send to the graveyard as a cost. Alright, they're going to activate Necromere, and here I felt like I kind of had to do it, right? Because I was probably going to lose my Arise-Heart anyway, so I felt like, alright, I kind of have to just go for it right now. And sure enough, they are going to tribute my Arise-Heart in order to summon the Nibiru here. We're gonna get to do a couple of cool chain blocking bits here, though. For one, I can block this monster from being summoned because of the Ira, and two, I get to block the Ira getting shuffled back by the Nibiru because I get to do Birth as Chainlink 2 because it'll show up in the same Chainlink. And then same thing here, I get to use Ira as Chainlink 1, Wraitsoth as Chainlink 2. That'll chain block the Ira and make sure the Nibiru can't mess with it, but I do get to destroy it. Unfortunately, I don't get to block off the remaining main monster zone because it was occupied when Ira activated, so they do still get to special the Jet and then go for the Sky Cavalry Centauria here. Gonna special the Scareclaw Kashtira, so that way they don't get the bounce effect with the Centauria. They do still get to go for a Zeus, which is definitely annoying. And they're gonna wipe the board as a result. But that's the only Zeus board wipe they have, so we know there's no follow-up with that. And they don't have any follow-up with the two remaining cards in hand either. And look at that, I rip E-Telly, actual best possible top deck here. Gonna special the Fenrir, add another Unicorn, but now I get to reveal myself as not just a cash deck, but a punk cash deck. And now I get to go for the Amin, summon the Sharakusai, sync for the Baronne de Fleur, then I get to normal the Sharakusai, fuse it with the Deer Note in hand, go for the Rising Carp. I get to use Rising Carp under the protection of the Baronne, so Ash Blossom doesn't cut me off here. And yeah, my opponent's just going to go ahead and concede as they realize that I am very easily able to find lethal here. So that is the epitome of why I think this particular combination of archetypes is so cool, because they play, again, very 50-50, right? Granted, the Italy was a really, really good top deck, but it really could have been the Amin too, which makes for a good number of top decks, given that's like 5 cards right there in a very less than full deck. So cool stuff. We still have a couple more games to see too, so let's go ahead and go straight into the next one here. Alright, now we're going to face off against Dinomorphia. Been a minute since I've seen this deck. They're teching Deck Lockdown, which is like, as far as like weird tech cards go that are really only good going first or second, Deck Lockdown, being a continuous spell card, is only good going first. There are worse ones you could play. Deck Lockdown, for those who don't know, says players can't add cards from deck to hand except by drawing them, or special monsters from their deck, and then the card destroys itself during, I think, your second standby phase after activation. But alright, opponent's going to fire off a Maxx, and we're just going to negate it with the Baronne. I'm really glad they didn't do that during their draw phase, but this definitely highlights why you need to do that during your draw phase in this meta, because of the Kashtira cards and their ability to summon without starting a chain link there. Now, we've used up our Omni, but that's fine. I think using it on a Maxx is worthy. I was really scared of an Ash Blossom on this Rising Carp, but thankfully our opponent didn't have it here. I guess even if they did, I could have still birthed back a Unicorn, so it's not like I would have had nothing, but it would have been very annoying. Alright, still just doing a pretty typical turn 1 Punk combo line here. Summoning the Jam Dragon Drive. Whether you search a tuner, a Punk tuner, or the Ghost Ogre really just depends on your hand. Here I have the Ogre Dance, so I don't have to use the Jam Dragon Drive search on the Madam Spider. I get to go for the Ghost Ogre instead. Alright, using Madam Spider to get the Nashiwari Surprise. We also get to use the Field Spell to get an extra draw for a Maxx. That's a great extra draw. Birthing back a Unicorn. Going for the extra Amazing Dragon. This is the line that uses the second Amazing Dragon, by the way. I'm going to put that in the extra monster zone just to not clog up my main monster zone. And we only play 2 links anyway, Asa and Goddess, so it's not like we really need the extra monster zone. I'm going to draw phase Maxx them. Standby phase, I will go ahead and put back the Baronne to potentially summon it later. Getting back a Deer Note. Opponent's going to summon Jirak Dino. I was very confused here. But no, they are playing Dinomorphia. That's just like a random tech they're playing. If that had resolved, then... if that had battled, by the way, then during the end phase, they could have attributed it to draw 2. Which, like, that's... I guess kind of cute going second tech. It is a dinosaur tuner as well, which is worth noting, but thankfully it did not destroy anything in battle. So I'll just banish their 3 cards at the birth. They'll set 3, but those 3 cards are not going to stay on the field for long. I'm going to chain the Sharakusai, syncing it with the Foxy tune, going for my second Amazing Dragon. And now my opponent concedes as they realize I'm able to just bounce all 3 of those cards, and then next turn very easily swing in for lethal there. Got one more duel to show off. Let's go ahead and take a look at it here. Alright, this last game is going to be against Purrely, and they are playing the Ghost Trick package into UDF. For those who don't know what I'm speaking about, it's a package that Purrely can optionally play, where you play a couple of copies of Ghost Trick Mansion, I believe, as well as some of the Ghost Trick Xyz monsters, and that allows you to put extra bodies on the field to go into Utopic Draco Future. But I don't really like that package in Purrely. Not only does it use a lot of extra deck slots, but it also uses 2 main deck slots for Garnets, the 2 copies of the, what is it, Ghost Trick Mansion there. So I think it's Mansion. I think that's the spell card I'm thinking of. But here, this is another combo line where we're just going to do Kashtira stuff because we didn't open any Punk cards, so not too shabby. Still get to end on the Ira, Arise-Heart, Fenrir, with the Birth up and a Maxx and a Crossout set. Get to Ira even for the Unicorn during the standby phase. I should have Maxx during... Well, I can't Maxx because of Arise-Heart, that's right. Alright, opponent's going to triple attack after forcing out the Arise-Heart effect taking it. That's definitely pretty brutal for me, as it means that they get to do the face down banish here. I'm going to use both Fenrir and Unicorn's effects, just to get this out of the way. They actually targeted my face down card, which was surprising. I'm going to chain the Crossout, calling Ash Blossom, because the Arise-Heart's about to leave the field, so I'm going to probably end up using the Maxx. So I want to make sure if my opponent has an Ash Blossom, they're not able to use it. And of course, the face down card is going to get banished anyway, so also hitting the Happiness from the extra deck with Unicorn, so that way they can't use it to OTK me this turn. There's Ghost Trick Mansion, that was the card. They do end up finding the Sleepy Memory off of this Purrely here. I'm going to use the Maxx effect in response to the Purrely effects, but they do have the call by, so turns out I should have called that instead of Ash Blossom, but you know, there's 3 copies of Ash Blossom, there's 2 copies of call by. I figured it was more likely they had Ash Blossom. Plus, they might end up using Ash Blossom against something else other than my Maxx. So there is that. Alright, looks like they're going to reveal a Delicious Memory with a Purrely in hand and going for the Plump here. Unfortunately, I've used up all of my on-field effects, and I probably should have... Well, here's the thing, right? If I had taken the Zeus, they might have... I don't know, maybe they did have the Delicious in hand, and maybe they would have found a way to OTK, but... Maybe I should have taken Zeus, keeping in mind that it was easier for them to Zeus me than OTK me. Well, they had the My Friend as well, so they could have used the My Friend to find the Happy if they really needed to. So I kind of do think I was like, you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If I had taken the Zeus, they could have probably, looks like, Happiness OTK'd me. And if I hadn't, well, I took the Happiness, but then I got Zeused, so, you know. Actually, not only am I getting the Zeus, but also they're setting up another Plump here. Oh, that's right, they managed to set up a second Noir as well. Yeah, two guesses as to what that face down card is going to end up being. I actually managed to rip E-Telly, which is like by far the best top deck of my deck, but given that the face down card is of course Yeep, it's actually probably just not going to matter. I mean, to be fair, I don't think I could have played around Zeus anyway, but I would have at least gotten them to Zeus away their own My Friend before they Noired here, but I'm going to special the Scareclaw Kashtira and actually move straight to battle phase and battle the Noir, negating it entirely. You might think, well, that's weird. How does the Scareclaw Kashtira actually manage to negate the Noir? Well, if you read the effect of Scareclaw Kashtira, if your Kashtira or Scareclaw monster battles an opponent's monster, that opponent's monster's effects are negated until the end of this turn. Because of the way this is worded, this is not an activated effect. This is a continuous effect. It's a condition that applies whenever you attack with a Scareclaw or a Kashtira monster. So because this is a continuous effect and not an activated effect, I'm able to actually negate the Noir. But again, it's not going to really do me any good here, because I get to E-Telly for Amin, but as soon as I do, my opponent's going to activate Zeus anyway. That did get rid of their Noir and My Friend, so it's not like it did absolutely nothing at all, but it is not going to be enough to stop their plays, as here is another My Friend. So at this point, I'm just going to fast forward, because I'm in full total top deck mode. And, yeah, I don't really have too high hopes of coming back here. I need to rip, like, exactly the second E-Telly to have a shot of coming back. Not even Amin would do it, because I don't have another card to send for a Foxy tune I could add. Nib definitely won't do it. And yeah, now My Friend gets another Surge with the Purrely already on the field. It's pretty Jover. It's pretty Jover at this point. Ah, they're even going for Ghost Trick plays. I think that Royal Dolan hand is a bit of an indicator as to why they're leaning into the Ghost Trick engine, but not that I blame them. Alright. So even though we did manage to rip that E-Telly there, and even negate the Noir with the Kashtira Scareclaw, it wasn't enough, and we ultimately ended up losing that game. But that'll go ahead and do it for this video. Thank you all for watching these games. Let's go ahead and move now to our outro. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching it all the way to the very end. That means a whole lot to me, and it's also a fantastic way to support the channel. And if you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways besides YouTube, there are plenty of ways to do that. If you check out the description below, you'll find a bunch of links down there. One of them goes to my Patreon. You're actually seeing the names of everyone subscribed to the Patreon on the screen right now. So if you're interested in getting your name in the credits here at the end, if you want to see more daily Master Duel content, or if you're interested in one-on-one private coaching sessions I offer offer all of that on Patreon. I also stream live on Twitch. Feel free to go ahead and click that link and follow and or subscribe there. I also have the Discord community, if you want to follow that link, where hundreds of duelists have already signed up. Free to join, and you can just come hang out, talk about the game, and chill in general. Final link that's going to be in the description is my Twitter. You can follow that if you want some more notifications of what's happening with the channel. So, all in all, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.